All right, here's your essay question.
Okay.
Invent a Bond-style gadget. That's it.
A John Cleese that fucks off.
Oh boy! It's a masterful invention, Bond. As you can see, it is a standard operating John Cleese. Gets old, complains about things that old men complain about. Very anti-progressive, very upsetting to anyone who ever idolized Monty Python and tries to exploit everything he's ever done for all it's worth. But press this button once, and he leaves the fucking room.
What, like this? Click.
You have to practice your Bronson.
My Bronson.
Your Bronson
Brosnan
versus
goes
Brosnan noises. Hey, you.
Yeah, I don't have to practice, mate. I'm fully familiar with them now. And yeah, there he goes. Fast forward on the last 10 years of his life. Poof.
Yeah.
You hear that? Nothing.
It's peaceful out here, isn't it? Where John Cleese is fucked off. Hello and welcome to One Good Thing, the podcast that is shaken and stirred traditionally. I'm Paul. Salt Paul. Fuck.
Oh, I know him. I'm not that kind of podcaster.
Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year, everyone. We are celebrating the beginning of 2025 with the most traditional of bank holiday treats, a Bond film. Which one? Fuck.
Oh,
No! Please don't be. Oh!
the
Literally
exact one.
any other one. It is 2002's Die Another Day.
Got
your attention.
Tell me what you know of James Bond.
He'll light the fuse on any explosive situation
Show me the diamonds. Don't blow it all at once. What happened to you? Bond.
and be a danger to himself and others.
I'm going to let him mix things up a little.
Who sent you?
Your mama.
Glad you could make it, Mr. Bond.
I see you don't chase dreams, you live them.
One of the virtues of never sleeping. I have to live my dreams.
Time to draw the line.
Well, it seems you've become useful again.
Maybe it's time you let me get on with my job. So, this is where they keep the old relics, eh? Twist so, voila! You know, you're cleverer than you look.
Better than looking cleverer than you are.
James, be careful.
A nice palace can be such a treacherous place.
I take it Mr. Bond's been explaining his Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, I think I got the thrust of it.
Must you touch everything?
Would you like to show me more?
Kill him. Now! 1,000 meters and closing.
Put you back into it, eh? Let's get down to business.
Looks like we're going down together.
Not yet!
This is the final film to star Pierce Brosnan as James Bond. That is, so I should probably auto finish that. Actually, yeah. I mean, star. He will appear in things from this point
He was
on.
in Black Adam.
He was in Dante's Peak 2. We went back.
He was also in Mamma Mia and probably made a fuckload of money.
I guess it's starring extends to supporting cast, right? You could legitimately say that Mamma Mia also starred Stellan Skarsgård.
But then you'd have to be like, he's from Avengers. You know.
Oh yeah.
No,
It
not Age of the
does-
main one.
It does depend
him.
upon your audience, as always.
Yeah.
God almighty, I don't know what Brosnan means to the young folks now. Maybe nothing.
Yeah.
Come on,
Probably
Brosnan.
was
Get yourself on
Stellan
TikTok.
Skarsgård. Get yourself on the TikTok. He might even be on the TikTok. You don't know.
Get yourself an involved granddaughter who can ask you old man things and everyone will find it endearing. No, I will wait, Google Docs. Don't close the page.
Please. I haven't done making Pierce Brosnan references.
Yes, this is his final film as James Bond, ending his only 4-movie-long tenure, which defined much of Bond in my youth. It is also the 20th Eon-produced James Bond film and was released 40 years after the very first Dr. No.
Ooh, I hope my 40th birthday is
as eventful as
over and underwhelming at the exact same time.
I'm sure it will be, mate. It'll be a spectacle that nobody asked for, least of all you. Guarantee it, mate.
Oh, thanks, mate.
The previous film, The World Isn't... Yeah, that's fine. Why did you stop? I capitalized a weird word and it just made me think... so the previous film, The World Is Not Enough, was a huge success, leading series producers Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson to ask its director, Michael Apted, to return to the franchise, and he accepted. Then they said no thanks and looked at Tony Scott, John Woo, and Quentin Tarantino. Christ, that would have been insufferable.
Wow.
Yeah, they got the yes first, then looked elsewhere.
I think that's the best way of doing it. You've got to know your options, and you've got to make sure that the needy fuck who's been clinging on all these years is still going to be ready, even if you run his name through dirt. And then see if Tony Scott's around. Yeah,
look, just don't... mate, thank you for saying yes. Looking forward to seeing you on set. Please don't read The Hollywood Reporter for the next 2 months. Okay.
Okay, guys, can't wait.
I love it, guys. He's still by the phone now.
Can you get Pierce to return my call?
But he was actually in front of them. They just pushed him over at that point.
Off a cliff.
Brosnan suggested John McTiernan and Ang Lee, makes sense, and Martin Scorsese. Pierce, that's not gonna fucking happen. He makes real movies, sweetie.
He hates you.
Remember when you ruined that take in Goodfellas?
With your butt, because it was out?
You were meant to play a New York gangster, but one of the families who sort of murders, one of the key characters of the film, but you came in and said, and everyone just had to leave.
You came in and gave everyone premiere tickets to Taffin.
I think you'll enjoy it. Thanks. Thanks, Brosnan. Oh, Christ. So
it's because of that he never made Goodfellas. So
that's the reason you won't see him in Goodfellas. Not even a little bit. So they get Lee Tamahori, a New Zealand director who made Once Were Warriors, The Edge, and Along Came a Spider. Do you know Once Were Warriors?
I know Once Were Warriors. Haven't seen it, but... Yeah. It has a lot more currency in the Antipodes with...
I expected as much.
All the guilt for all the stuff that they did.
Well, let's extend that guilt then, because Hollywood has exploited this director and made him direct Die Another Day. And then afterwards, he would go on to make The Devil's Double. Remember that?
I do, weirdly.
Remember the poster?
Never seen it.
I did see it after that. I feel like there was a solid couple of months where we just kept seeing the trailer at the cinema.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of that decade was characterized by seeing the same things at the cinema over and over again. It might have been something to do with going to the cinema.
Yeah, a couple times a week.
Yeah.
That probably helped canonize those films in our heads. The film was written, Die Another Day, that is, was written by writing duo Neil Purvis and Robert Wade, who wrote the previous film, The World Is Not Enough. And before that, Plunkett and McLean, which is mad.
Wow.
I
haven't thought of that film in a long time.
After this, they wrote 2 Johnny English films. So that makes sense. Maybe their sensibilities were more suited to parodies of the Bond franchise rather than the Bond franchise itself. Oh, they also wrote all of the Daniel Craig Bonds. All of them.
That's...
Yeah.
They really have on and off days, hey?
I would have bet fucking money, actual money that I don't have, on these guys never being allowed to touch this franchise again after this.
And also the Craig Bonds being written by different people every single time.
Yeah, I would have thought so. But hey, crucially, they never write alone again. They have different writers. They have Paul Haggis for the first 2, and they have someone else for... And obviously in the fifth one, No Time to Die, they had 4 writers, including Phoebe Waller-Bridge. So... Yeah, they never wrote another one of these things, just them. So
for the best.
Yeah,
also,
I think so.
But also, if the writers were a constant between Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace, it just raises more questions.
Wow,
what's going on?
It does.
What's going on over there?
Well, look, a screenplay is not a movie. It's all an adaptation, so maybe just terrible shit happened between the page and the screen. But I love the idea that, okay, No Time to Die. We have 4 screenwriters. You write the movie. You keep those 2 the fuck away from the keyboard. That's your entire job here. A few more notes from production. Apparently it was freezing the day that they shot the Halle Berry coming out of the sea, and whenever they yelled cut, crew would rush in with towels. That slinky walk she does to the bar is actually just a symptom of advanced hypothermia. It's sexy, but it's
sexy though.
It's sexy, but it is late stage.
But to reiterate, late stage hypothermia.
There's not an X stage. The sexy slinky walk. She also got injured when a smoke grenade went off and got stuck. Bits of it got stuck in her eye, requiring a quote 30-minute operation. Now, is that detail being included because that is an excessive amount of time to have eye surgery, or a small amount of time to have eye surgery? Because I don't know.
I don't want to know.
It's longer than I'd like to receive eye surgery, unless that's less time than it should take. In which case, get that man to give me eye surgery. Yeah, unless it was Pierce Brosnan, and that's why it took half an hour and not needed, and it was mostly just him kissing an eye. Surgery, I promise. Apparently, the scene where Bond surfs the wave created by the space laser were accomplished using green screen. Oh, no way.
You don't say.
I can't believe that. That wasn't for real?
Oh, wait, that reminds me. I meant to shut my mouth after that scene, and I haven't gotten around to it yet.
I'll do that now.
Cool.
Revlon produced we'll get that, mate. Revlon produced a 007 color collection makeup range inspired by Halle Berry's character, and some Bond Barbie dolls were made. They're so pliable.
Just like Pierce Brosnan's Bond.
They're so easily replaced. Each one comes with a spare, just in case that one turns out to be evil and or gets killed by the bad guys. Or both.
You never know with them. That's the thing. You never know with your Bond Barbies.
That's the thing about a Bond
Barbie. Which is what I'll be calling all females in Bond movies from now on. In my head.
Until they gain agency. Hey, Barbies can have agency too. Bond Barbies is still fine. And maybe there could be... You know what? I feel like by the time you get to No Time to Die, Bond is kind of the Bond Barbie of that one.
I would say so.
And it's all the better for it. Now,
I would say so.
As was somewhat traditional back in the day, I don't know if this still happens, but the Bonds do tend to receive a royal film performance in their premiere. And this one was attended by Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip. So they got to watch
God.
Die Another Day. They got to hear the Madonna song.
You can just see if you're in that theatre. Oh, God, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just thinking about Prince. You could just hear Prince Philip's chair creak as he leans over to Elizabeth to spout whatever fucking racist bullshit comes into his mind as any other ethnicity. Think of how much of this film takes place in places that would send Prince Philip wild. And you just hear the very polite, like, shh of Queen Elizabeth.
Of our Majesty the Queen. Shut the fuck
God
up.
Bless her. Shut the fuck up, Philip. I'll fuck you. I'll cut you, Philip.
You can't. Don't you fucking push me. The Royal Albert Hall was transformed into an ice palace for the occasion. That's not where they held it. That's just a coincidence. Proceeds.
That was a terrorist incident.
What have you done? We've decorated this place like an ice palace to represent the coldness of the institute. And they shot him. MI6 shot him. A lot. Proceeds from the premiere were donated to the film and television charity. Some £500,000. The film received $100 million in product placement.
Fantastic. What's the film charity do?
They support ailing and elderly films to retire in dignity.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Next year they're doing The Bicycle Thieves. Now, critics felt it was time to face gravity. Kent M. Wilhelm from Tile magazine, referencing the fact that the film was released on the franchise's 40th anniversary, said, "Producing this milestone film is an unenviable task of immense responsibility. Unfortunately, the result is a clumsy homage, an attempt to concoct a grand confection with ingredients of varied quality and a baker that wasn't up to the task." bakers usually make confections?
I
guess so. They
I
make
mean,
Turkish delight.
Bakers are all about Turkish delight. That's why Greg's just can't sell enough of them.
You can't get them out the door. And why I enjoy my favourite confectionery, some cake.
Can I have some cake, please? And then the guy from The Taste of Things.
Oh yeah,
just cries.
And then gives you cake because.
But makes a cake. Still makes a cake.
Makes the best cake you've ever eaten in your life.
It's a fucking great cake.
He was crying for different reasons. Juliette Binoche is dead. Spoilers. So
yeah, he's French.
He's French. It's French. It's awful. He hates it like they all do. That's why they strike so much. Nicholas Barber.
Why can't it be English? Paradise is.
I hate eating and not having breakfast. I had a lengthy conversation with Jen about this recently. Apparently, the French just don't do breakfast very well. I like a croissant. I just need bacon constantly throughout the entire day.
You need to be more enamored with the German, mate.
Oh, we'll come to that. Nicholas Barber adds some much-needed context in his independent review. In a year when Austin Powers has scoffed at 007 as a joke, Goldmember came out that year, and XXX has scoffed at him as an anachronism, Die Another Day is a fluffed opportunity to assert that nobody does it better. Incidentally, The Bourne Identity came out the same year.
Oh. Yeah, wow, that's important context.
Yeah.
Let's say XXX. That I don't really care about. Although I did remember enjoying that the first time I saw it.
This movie feels a lot like the Bond movie that comes out the same year as XXX, with the extreme sports and the kind of the music in particular. Like, this feels congruous.
What's the name for that camera technique?
I don't know.
Editing.
You mean like the racked kind of when it speeds up and then resumes regular
it's like
speed.
A speed pan.
The saw technique.
Yeah.
The
swordfish.
Oh god. Yeah. It was everything in the noughties, the sort of speed up the footage and then slow down, and it's insane. It's even in Bourne. I remember it's in the end of the Bourne Identity, the very last shot.
But yeah, Bond it doesn't feel like it belongs in a Bond from any era. Even a futuristic Bond set in the 2500s. If you put that in, you'd be like, whoa, 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 the Empire wasn't built on zoom pans, thank you very much.
What would David Lean think?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Well, look, public, however, felt that One Man's Terrorist is another man's all-right film. RB007 on Google said, what he thinks of this whole thing.
Well, a bit of a busman's holiday for him, I expect.
No one can literally beat Pierce Brosnan as James Bond. Well, from my point of view, it was the third best movie in James Bond movie series after GoldenEye and Skyfall. I really loved the whole film. The first action scene was really amazing. The serving scene in Antarctica was hilarious. The climax was also nice. When the aeroplane blast and the helicopter come out and Jinx and Bond, I liked.
When the helicopter come out.
When it come out, Jinx almost died in that cold water, but Bond saved her through invisible car, was superb. The sword fighting scene was a masterpiece, and the last fight between Zhao and Bond and Jinx versus the sword trainer was fantabulous. And I must suggest that never listen to people in lyrics' opinion, mainly social media. Judge a film after seeing it only like Spider-Man 3, a masterpiece like this and Die Another Day film. This is as good as
You always
Spider-Man
take me to
3.
the edge of the human experience, mate.
Look, I went out there. I went out into the wild in order to find these experiences that I have for you.
You killed 3 men for this.
I didn't regret it. I didn't need to, and I didn't regret it.
because it was very nice at the end.
The film did not do well in Korea due to the negative portrayal of North Korea and the subservient portrayal of South Korea. Also, they fuck near a Buddha at the end. They didn't like that.
Doesn't go down well in places that respect the Buddha.
Oh, God. There's a lot of them. Oh, fine. We'll fuck over there. In a ditch by the Buddha. Can you keep the Buddha out of shot? No.
No, I really can't. I feel like the Buddha is everywhere, so...
Oh, shit. So whether or not we include the
representing
statue is irrelevant. Buddha is in everything. So if you're going to film 2 people fucking...
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, could you surely just not include the statue? That I can't hear you busy fucking.
I got laid after expressing that. All right, 3 men.
Bitches love it. Sorry.
Keep it in. Douglas Bunn made his debut as Naboo Guard in The Phantom Menace, and then followed up that with a performance as Naboo Guard in Attack of the Clones, and is in this as Naboo Guard.
Oh yeah, okay. That explains a lot, actually.
Rick Yoon, who played Zhao, was in Jiu-Jitsu as Captain Sand, a named character, and The Fast and the Furious as Johnny Tran, a named character I kind of remember.
Ooh. Well.
Oh, there you go.
Ho, ho, ho.
Well, speaking of Madonna is an exciting 3-man after Swept Away, and apparently Pixels, although I couldn't find out much information about how she was in Pixels.
She farted in the same studio they were doing all the voices.
She got a credit for that. It was 2 farts in tone with each other, so she got a music credit.
They don't tell you, but that's often auto-tune farts that you hear.
$6 million fee. Worth it. Pierce
Adam
Brosnan
looks after his buds.
Yes, he does. God bless him. And Madonna is counted amongst the company of plenty. Pierce Brosnan is an infamous 3-man after The Lawnmower Man and Black Adam. They well deserved there.
Oh. Yep.
John Cleese is a prick and a 3-man, having been in Planes and Pluto Nash.
And
And a cunt as well to boot. And a cunt to boot. He's a horrible gun. Tina Simmons is an interesting foreman. She looks like Helen Mirren and played an Ice Palace guest in this, a sort of high society. And she's been party guest in a lot of her background artist credits. She was also a museum guest in The Mummy, makes sense. Businesswoman in Transformers The Last Night. Yep, fair enough. An important-looking lady. And was an Argonian citizen in Supergirl. That's right, she's been around a while because she has been acting since playing a dancing girl in a club in Antonioni's blow-up in 1966.
Killer.
Yeah. Well, tell you what, she was also in The Dark Knight as detective. So somewhere in The Dark Knight, a movie I know extremely well, there is one of the detectives, presumably in Gordon's unit, looks like a high society lady.
And is, 60?
Or something like that, yeah, genuinely.
Okay.
Let's look. I'm going to pull up The Dark Knight, and we're gonna go frame by frame.
Yeah, we can watch that in double time, or we can record this in half time, so we catch up.
Yeah.
And then, we'll let everybody know how that goes.
Absolutely, we're going to come back to you. Halle Berry is a foreman, having been in Catwoman, Movie 43, and New Year's Eve. Ouch. Judi Dench was in Cats, Artemis Fowl, and apparently Run for Your Wife, although we have not been able to clarify that or confirm it yet.
And we refuse to do any extra work on that.
No, we're not going back.
Oh, free to a man, free in the bush, free, yo. Films are shit, mate.
Yeah, Die Another Day has 56% on Rotten Tomatoes, 6.1 on IMDb, and made $431.9 million, making it the most profitable of Brosnan's Bond films, the 6th highest grossing film of 2002, behind Men in Black 2 and Attack of the Clones. Fuck that, yeah. And the 5th most profitable Bond film of all time, 6th, when adjusted for inflation. So, Paul, bloody name them! There's only one film in common on both lists, so it's 8 films to name, and it's a minefield situation, so the first time you give a wrong one, you're out.
Okay, that's fair. I appreciate that, because otherwise we could be here all fucking day.
Well, quite.
So we're talking about the 8 most profitable Bonds.
Well, okay, so it's 4 films that are more profitable than this, unadjusted for inflation. So basically recent ones, because money's worth more now. And then the unadjusted ones, are just the ones presumably got the most ticket sales because they are unadjusted for inflation. So there'll be all the ones in there.
God, I have no fucking idea where to begin. I'm going to say.
Can you get the one that's on both lists?
No. Let me see. Is it a Connery?
There is one Connery. It's not the one I would have expected.
Is it Thunderball?
Yes! That is the number 1 movie when adjusted for inflation. So that is the highest grossing sort of Bond movie, as a time of release.
Yeah, it was one of my least favourite Connerys, I've got to say. But he'd been going the trajectory, been going for long enough. That's where the twain shall meet.
Oh, I fucked up. There's another Connery. And that is the one I'd
okay.
expect. And it is adjusted for inflation.
Oh, okay. Goldfinger?
Goldfinger.
Finger.
Yep, that's number 2 when adjusted for inflation.
Okay. Moonraker.
Yes, number 5 when adjusted for inflation.
Okay. Is there going to be... is there a Daniel Craig in there?
Yes, there is. Also, I fucked up. There's a third Connery. Fuck me, I'm
There's
bad
a
at
lot.
this.
To be fair, there's a
Yeah.
lot of them. Are we only counting the Eon Productions?
Yeah. I don't know what. Okay. I don't know how. Never Say Never Again plays into any of this.
Okay.
Or the first Casino Royale.
Oh yeah. Well, tough because I maintain that one is the highest grossing Bond of all time.
Shit. What can I do about that?
Die, I guess.
Another day.
Is GoldenEye in there?
No.
Shit.
GoldenEye's not in there. Yeah. So the one that was on both lists was Skyfall.
Yeah, okay.
Shirley Bassey's Skyfall.
Skyfall.
That's number 1 unadjusted, so largest number of sort of thing. Number 3 adjusted. You Only Live Twice was the other Connery I was fucking up. That's adjusted 4th place. And so that's the whole adjusted list. And then the only other 2 were 2 Craigs. Unadjusted, you have Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace.
Cool. I assumed Quantum of Solace based on the success and the goodness of Casino Royale.
Yeah, a lot of people came to see the follow-up and were very disappointed.
Whoops. Me included.
Yes, me included. Me and my dad included.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was shit-faced for it, which didn't help the opening. Which is unlike you. So it's a special occasion. Honestly, that film opens to the shaky cam Paul Greengrass special.
Shot by the B
I'm
unit.
already drunk. Yeah.
Oh God. Anyway,
the restaurant itself.
Die Another Day was so good it began a 4-year long gap whilst they completely rebooted the entire franchise, although apparently with the same writers.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say after the 430 odd million profit.
Yeah.
And it was so successful they decided to reboot the whole fucking thing.
Oh Christ. So Paul, you peaceful fountains of desire.
Die.
What's one thing about Die Another Day that made you want to have sex for dinner and death for breakfast?
Do hovercrafts float over mines, Paul?
No, I don't think so.
That's my question.
I don't think hovercrafts don't weigh anything.
And I think just I know the Bond writers don't seem to understand how gravity works, but or like what gravity is in fact. But physics, in order for a hovercraft to hover, there has to be some pressure on the ground.
Yeah, and I also
even if it hovered 2 inches off the floor.
Yeah, it'd be exerting pressure to the ground to do so.
Yeah.
I also love the idea that the only thing keeping North Korea out of South Korea is the fact that we put a bunch of landmines there so they can't walk over.
Otherwise, they'd be champing at the bit.
They'd be fucking over him all the time.
Wait. Also, Korea. What's that? Film's nonsense.
It's crazy. It's a crazy thing. And that nonsense begins right here because we start with the Bond intro, but with jungle beats. Fuck yeah, kids. Get invested in the
2 seconds
franchise.
in. Auto-tune, and just to give you a taste of what kind of Bond it is that you're up against, I think is the phrase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, this is going to be his sexiest adventure yet. Cut to North Korea.
Yeah, he sort of foils a diamond thing. And,
yes, well, the 60-year-old man surfs into North Korea. Take that, commies. You could only dream of being this free on the waves.
Oh, your 60-year-olds are queuing up for black bread. This one's bloody surfing a wave.
Look at the freedom of him. Look at him.
Look at him. His cock's out and everything.
He's got a tiny little umbrella and his knife, which is ridiculous enough that his allies immediately know where he is. And yeah, they've
for
got
cocktails.
They've got a whole tray of Diamante diamonds, which they're going to use. Except Bond puts a bloody explosive underneath them and he primes them right there on the plane. Oh fuck, wrong button. Oh no, not like this.
There are no origin stories here.
But luckily that
Gets
doesn't
under wraps.
happen. He gets all the way to the place where the evil bad guys are meeting, trading blood diamonds in order to buy weapons that they need in order to, get to
do evil shit.
To do evil shit, to invade South Korea, which is a very bad thing. So, he's exposed as a spy. So the colonel turns around and shoots him directly in the head. Oh no, he doesn't do that at all, it turns out.
Doesn't do that.
He doesn't actually do that.
A lengthy Bond thing.
He does a lengthy Bond thing instead. Go over there and execute him beside the diamonds he brought. Okay.
All right. Given that he's a British government assassin, it should be fine.
At least we owe him. So, they set off the explosives. He sets off the explosives in the diamond thing, killing all of the men except one, who he makes awesome.
Yeah. Giving this guy a single question that he's asked throughout the rest of his life, which is, can you just remove those diamonds? And it's always the last thing they ever say. He kills him.
God bless him. So he blows up the entire base, and not one of the thousands of soldiers there just shoot the prig.
Yeah. Or they try, but look how free he is.
Yeah.
He's very free. Did you see him surf?
Oh my god, he's so free. He crashes the hover ship into an explosive building that they have up there in North Korea. Communism.
Yeah. Around that.
The colonel tries to kill him with a flamethrower. Hey, the colonel wants a flamethrower. He wants the what? Why have we got that? He murders the colonel and injures Zhao with the diamond face.
Yeah, so he's gone. He's dead.
Yeah,
probably.
The Korean sort of general shows up and says, "My son is dead," and Brosnan replies, "Yeah."
He fucking is.
He fucking is as well. Did you hear the joke I made about the bell? Legend. So good.
It's just before he died, and then after he died, I thought it was very funny.
The worst Bond theme ever plays.
I'm gonna wake up, yes and no. I'm gonna kiss some part of. I'm gonna keep this secret. I'm gonna close my body now. I guess die another day.
And Madonna
genuinely the worst.
Genuinely the worst. Madonna did this the year after her album Music, and it was written by her and Mirwais. So I'm gonna blame Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
For how bad this is, because Madonna is in a really good era.
Music is essentially the same song, but slightly better. They got Ali G for the video, so.
I like Music. I feel like something terrible happened to Madonna on this set, and we're going to find out what right here on the set of Pixels.
Where am I? Also.
Times the singularity. Look. At this stage, I do imagine anyone who's never seen a Bond film before just watching this opening sequence like, what the fuck is this now? This jaunty
And everyone
sequence.
who has seen any Bond whatsoever has the thought, what the fuck is this now?
Bond is tortured to music, as are we, but it comes to an end. And he's grown a depression beard, and torture has had a really terrible effect on his body and mind.
Just look at it. And yeah. They haven't killed him because they've been trying to figure out something. Who betrayed not only Bond, but the Colonel's son, who's now dead. and Bond won't tell him. Bond's like, oh, I'll tell you, your butt. Oh, I'll tell you. And then he gives him the finger out of his pocket, which he doesn't even have anymore.
All right, look, we're going to trade you back to the West. God, you're an asshole. The Colonel's dad does also point out that North Koreans are generally very nice and enjoy things the way they are, but the Colonel, he was a dangerous radical. And all the Koreans watching are like, that's not enough, mate. We know you're going to fuck next to that Buddha statue. It's no game. No dice.
If only you hadn't said, my name's Buddha, I'm a big fat fuckhead who's bald and dumb.
I can't believe that's dialogue in this movie.
And my real religion is Millwall FC. So I'm a butt. Well, your son's dead. What can I tell you?
Yeah.
So They let him go. They trade him for old.
Yeah.
Why can't you take the diamonds out of your face?
Get him out your face, squeeze him like acne. So he comes back over, Zhao does, and Bond gets traded back over. Mads Mikkelsen is there representing American intelligence, and he's like, you'd think he was some sort of hero. It's like, I like the spies who don't get captured.
And then they eat them. Mad.
He seems fine, though. He's going to have massive liver damage in his old age. Welcome back, Bond.
He has a chat with M, and M go. I can never tell with Judi Dench in any role she's ever in whether she likes somebody or hates them, and they use that against me, and to help paint the picture of Bond as a well, everyone thinks that he gave up a whole bunch of information.
No. Yep, and Bond, he has some questions to ask and some fingers to point whilst he's asking them. And all whilst wrestling heroically with whatever accent he's having a go at.
He had a partner in the West. Even his father knew about it.
Whether that's true or not, it's irrelevant.
No, it isn't. The same person who set me up then has just set me up again to get Zhao out, so I'm going after him.
Never noticed that as a youth, that actually he's tenuously trying to keep control of whatever accent this is.
It flails in a Donald Pleasance sort of way for me. Anything around the word, or like words that sound like hat, it has the same sort of shot him in the hat.
There are a couple of very Irish deliveries coming up, but we'll get to those. He recklessly endangers two men by electrocuting them, and then successfully flirts with a nurse, and then jumps off of a boat. Luckily, there was.
But he gets back on the boat because he needed it.
Yeah. There's a bit where he jumps over the railings, and it's shot in such a way as you really expect to hear a funk and reveal that he's actually peered. They're actually moored.
But I forgot they built this bit.
Yeah, but they're moored in the most scenic part of wherever this is. Let's geo-guess this based on local landmarks. Boat Club Hong Kong.
Liverpool?
Yeah. Yes. I've been to the Boat Club Hong Kong up there. So
I believe.
He walks into a hotel, deftly avoiding buttoning his shirt up, and checks in to the presidential suite he usually stays in on taxpayer money. Semi-usual tailor.
Well, yeah, he walks in dripping wet with long hair and a Jesus beard, and everyone correctly assumes he's an eccentric billionaire.
That guy invented Microsoft. So he shaves.
I think he invented water.
He goes up to his room, shaves off his beard, body hair, and all the torture that happened to him, and now he's fine.
He's fine now. There's one shot later where, when no one's looking, he goes, and it's very quick. Yeah, most people mistook it for rampant horniness, but anyone, torture in North Korea crew, we've been there. We know.
Well,
we know.
Yeah, a masseuse arrives and he fondles her for a bit. Until revealing that, he's not really fondling her like he usually does most women. He's actually taking the gun off of her. And he smashes a window to reveal an unnecessarily large camera crew just behind the mirror. And it's implied that he always knew that was happening. How many women has he plowed in front of this hotel manager and his unnecessarily large film crew?
He always looked him in the eye, and they always thought, weird coincidence.
They always just thought he was winking at himself in the mirror.
They had Patrick Bateman there. They know what Westerners are like.
So
he knew and he loved it.
He sends them all on their way. What about our second unit in the wardrobe? Out. But
no, you can stay.
But he finds out, that the Korean agent, Zhao with the diamond face, he's meant to be in Cuba now. That's just it. That he's just in Cuba. He's been spotted there. He's still updating his Instagram. And so they know he's in Cuba.
I'm not his fucking mother.
So, yeah.
He's in Havana, though.
He's in Havana. He goes out there. And, he meets up with a sleeper agent there who tells him that he's on an island that only has two features, a sexy beach and a world-class genetics clinic. So you should be able to pick up your love interest and your bad guy there. That's efficient.
That is efficient. There is a horrible South African man there who may lead you astray for a couple of minutes. But don't worry about him too much. There'll be a funny way of getting rid of him.
So, yeah, he's about. Halle Berry comes out of the ocean experiencing
close to death,
horrific chills, close to death, and Brosnan knows. Okay, it's time to seduce her. Nice tits, love.
Get them out.
It worked. She reveals that she was born on Friday the 13th, and so her parents named her the Cursed Child. Very sensitively.
Times are different back then.
They engage in some sexy bands.
Magnificent view.
It is, isn't it? Too bad it's lost on everybody else.
Mojito? You should try it.
Jacinta Janssen. My friends call me Jinx.
My friends call me James Bond. Jinx, you say?
Born on Friday the 13th.
You believe in bad luck?
Let's just say my relationships don't seem to last.
I know the feeling. Predators usually appear at sunset.
And why is that?
It's when their prey comes out to drink. Too strong for you?
I can learn to like it, if I have the time.
How much time have you got?
Until dawn. What about you?
Oh, I'm just here for the birds. Ornithologist.
Ornithologist, huh? Wow. Now there's a mouthful. So you're gonna be busy tonight with the owls then, huh?
No owls in Los Organos. Nothing to see till the morning. Not out there, anyway.
I'd like to fuck you, please. Please, please, be pleased, please, please. Well, if you're an ornithologist, then perhaps I could interest you in... Oh, Christ! Oh, I think I just came in my pants. Oh, I'm so
birds,
sorry.
I love birds. You're a sexy bird, bitch.
I've been in prison for 6 years or something. Oh, God.
But you are British, right?
Yes. I have to have a sit down. Oh, dear.
Just calm in my massive pants. Yeah,
So-
all right.
So they have it off. And the next morning...
Very quickly.
The next morning, he knocks out the South African, who actually has nothing to do with any of this. He's just a dick. So...
yeah, exactly. That does sound like a euphemism for a wank. Just knocked out the South African this morning. Why South African?
Why? Why? That's such an that's such a horrible thing to call that. It's a horrible thing. It has that vibe. Tell me it
I
doesn't.
feel guilty.
Tell me if I was going to refer to myself as a part, as the white South African, you didn't know exactly what part I was talking about. Spiritually, we all know where we are.
Yeah.
But yeah, he wheels him in. Isn't this a genetics facility? Out of my way, I've got a cripple. Yes, God.
You British. Still, you're so classy.
Brosnan, yeah, he you know it's a legitimate surgery he's gone into because of all the mirrors. It's
the rotating spy mirrors.
Meanwhile, the doctor explains his evil process to the cursed child, who kills him. And Bond finds Diamond Face undergoing treatment, so kills everyone in the facility except him.
He just need to make your death mean something. It doesn't work.
And our worst child joins in. But
The child we regret. This.
She CGs her way away and escapes. And Bond meanwhile finds some diamonds.
Finds a lot of diamonds. Next scene.
That gets him back to London, basically. It's one thing. It's and then
Yeah.
the diamonds take him to London, and the soundtrack plays London Calling. What is this, a fucking American movie?
Oh, it is? Okay.
We're going to set this one in London.
Oh. We fucking live here, mate.
Oh, they should have put it in Skyfall.
Problem is when you put it in London, it's like, that's not how you get there.
Oh, God.
That's the wrong tube line.
The plot dictates that the next thing that happens is that Bond should go to London and meet a rich asshole who appeared out of nowhere a year earlier after discovering diamonds. So, Toby Stevens seems legit. Toby Stevens does a great job of being deeply punchable.
Rick Mail's instant naughty's love child.
That's very good. I'm referring to him as a horse.
After an entrance like that, you can't be surprised you're being called a self-publicising adrenaline junkie, can you?
I prefer the term adventurer.
We've been hearing rumours about the Icarus space program. What's the big secret?
It's not a secret, it's a surprise, but don't worry, you'll soon be enlightened.
You seem to work 24/7. Is it true that you don't need sleep?
You only get one shot at life. Why waste it on sleep?
Aren't you trying out for a place in the British Olympic fencing team? We hear you've been training furiously.
I never get furious. As they say in fencing, what's the point?
Yeah, that's better.
Rosamund Pike is also here, and so is Madonna. What? So they have a big sword fight.
They have a big sword fight. That's pretty good.
They have a big sword fight because golf is boring and they can't do that anymore. So, I remember when we thought rich people could be really fit and sort of talented and somewhat charismatic instead of just bloated morons with profound personality defects.
Riddled with genetic disorders from inbreeding.
Yeah. So, yeah, anyway, they fight. Actually, Ulrich Goldfinger was much more on the money. In terms of our standard of contemporary asshole.
True. Hey, was golf in the novel then?
No, golf was. There's no novel of this. This is stitched together based on some abandoned B plots. But golf was, there's always a scene, because this movie is deeply formulaic to Bond, and there's always the scene where Bond has to have a chat with the bad guys, usually over poker. In Goldfinger, it's over golf. What is it in the Christopher Walken one? You'll get there. I think it's polo.
There's a what?
There's always some shit. Yeah, but in this one, it's a lengthy sword fight.
Yeah, I think I gaslit myself, because at the time of the fencing sword fight, I was like, oh, this is something they'd have in a fucking Ian Fleming public schoolboy Empire spy novel.
No.
Gentlemanly. But then I forgot that later on there's that scene. So that probably wouldn't have been in a Fleming novel.
Then he gets out his invisible car. Well, speaking of which, M invites him to an abandoned station located discreetly beneath Westminster Bridge.
Look, here's John Cleese's body. I've stabbed it 17 times.
Have a go. Oh, okay. They debrief there and then seemingly immediately move to the very expensive building that they built so they could do this. Oh yes, this is better.
It's much better, actually.
Actually much better to do this here. But it turns out that actually that's just the setting of a fake-out training mission that presumably at one stage was the opening sequence of the film at an earlier script stage. Because why do this here?
Yeah. Why set it up?
I mean, I'll tell you this.
There's a reason.
It's been 13 minutes since the last action sequence, and the focus group has told us that we need a beat here, so...
Wasn't sure if you were going to say action scene or grope.
Yeah, one of both. Yes, because it turns out this is actually a holodeck, and Q is actually here, only it's not an extra-dimensional being, it's a miserable old prick.
He can fuck off already. Why is he dead?
Fuck off immediately. He takes him to the Easter Egg Museum, which includes Rosa Klebb's shoe. Why would you have this?
I don't even know who she is, Paul. That's how much I hate it.
From much of a love, but like that's Spectre technology. Are we trying to crack the code of it? We can't figure out how they got this knife in this shoe.
Wild Wild West only came out 7 years ago, so
we figure it has something to do with being a lesbian. We're gonna study this longer. Oh wait, they are still in the station. Why?
Why? Well, someone heard that Lawrence Fishburne was going to be along shortly, so they're just hanging around just in case. Pierce Brosnan's been wanking in his invisible car for so long, but nobody told him he's not invisible. Anyway,
here's your car. It's able to be completely invisible and has a couple of things, in there that will come up later in action sequences if we remember. Here's the manual. You should be able to shoot through that in a couple of hours. Oh fuck! I have to choose my words so carefully, or set you up destroying something around here. All right, look. Well, you better get out the exit. You can find it by shooting yourself out of a rocket in that direction. No!
Fuck. You can find that by wanking yourself to oblivion just right through there, down that corridor. He throws the manual up in front of the guns, and the guns shoot the manual immediately, which raises the question, why did the guns shoot anything that's in front of it just because they're out? Well, why don't you take the diamonds out of your face?
Damn it!
You're always throwing that back in my face, like diamonds.
I don't understand you, mate. So... Yeah, Rosamund Pike, meanwhile, turns out to also be a secret agent. And she's brought in by M and says, so, what do you think of Bond? Oh, he's awful. He's the worst secret agent ever. He's a murderer. He's an arsonist, I think. A womanizer. He's a drunk. He makes you wonder if it wouldn't be better just to let the bad guys get away with it. Well, you're going to be seeing a lot more of him in Iceland. Jesus.
Bitch. M?
This is why I'm betraying you. What? Nothing.
Nothing. I just mean emotionally. And literally.
So, yeah, he goes to Iceland now in order to meet up with the billionaire and stay in his ice castle so he can figure out what he's doing with all of his diamonds.
And his upper lip.
The first guy comes out and is like, "Hi, I'm Mr. Kill." Oh, fuck me.
Come on.
There's a name to die for. Look, aren't you tired of this too? Every fucking person I meet is called the dumbest shit I've ever heard, and I make some quip and I just... Who are you? Really? What are you afraid of? Just talk to me. Sick of this. But anyway, Mistake Child is also here.
That shows up as well.
It shows up here. They had to... They make a nice joke at the bar, but they had to change Bonnery's famous. That's how you get to
call me Bonnery.
I'm Bonnery Bond. Damn it! They had to change his world famous drink order in order to make the line work. Like,
what was it again?
Vodka martini. Plenty of ice, if you can spare it.
Like, that's not what you say.
You stupid prick.
You've ruined this. Writers of this movie and all the other Bond movies.
He doesn't drink ice.
Oh, God.
He can't drink ice. It's a solid.
It's at this stage, there is a stunning reveal that the horse from the time We Live in Time is actually the Korean colonel after an interspecies cosmetic surgery.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
This is even better.
Back at the bar. I think the two women come up to him and it's like, I bet he's explaining his Big Bang Theory. I think I got the thrust of it. Please. Please, I'm so old and scared. Just fucking talk to me, please. Oh, there are fireworks. Outside, after the fireworks, the horse reveals his cunning scheme. As you know, I like diamonds. Anyway, here's my massive space laser. Ooh.
Fuck America. Fill your boots, lads.
Can't wait to see how he's going to use this for peace. So, oh God, yeah, Bond gets chased around a bit. Two guys nearly get him, but luckily they stand in front of the big steam pipe.
Oh yeah,
hubris.
Oh, the old steamy pipe.
He's in a rough spot.
Not that one.
No, that one's reserved for Rosamund Pike because he has sex with her.
Sex with her.
It's relatively consensual by his standards.
She's there. She's not, it's not fighting or showing any signs of being that annoyed.
Oh, she's so resistant though. I bet she's the villain. It's the only explanation I can think of for her not being up for it.
Oh, but then she is up for it, so she's clearly not the villain.
Oh, okay. I will let my guard down. Just before this movie, I went outside and noticed that my bird bath had frozen over, so I fished the little disc of ice out and flung it with my bare hands, actually. Ice is really fucking cold.
What?
I'm guessing this ice house is really, really cold.
I don't know if you heard the all important line, mate. That they used a clever combination of cold and heat to maintain this. So everything was super hot, probably, I reckon.
Oh, fuck yeah. Have mostly exposed sex here. The ice is mostly transparent, though, so you can see all of the other guests at all times.
Wouldn't work for the Chinese surveillance team.
Where are we going to hide?
Love that.
Where are we going to hide our drone unit? Oh, God. Oh, God, why didn't we stop One Child sooner? Gets M. Bison style electrocuted by horsey ex-Korean Sybil Shepherd. That's a fucking mad sentence.
There could be an OGT trivia down the line of what episode is this joke from?
That's a fucking nightmare of a sentence. They captured Jinx, damn it. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this too. I understand Bond now. They strap her to a table and they're like, I'll let you in on a little secret. This mine is fake, but the lasers are real. Why? Why? For this exact situation?
I guess so. I guess, if you're going to be a supervillain, you're going to need a means of slowly dispatching malcontents.
Ne'er-do-wells. Like fucking Jinx. Let's just shoot her. No, I want to use the laser. All right, well, don't make a mess. I definitely will.
It's going to be messy.
I'm going to kill her with a fucking laser. It's going to be horrible in here for a long time.
Going to fuck her up with a laser, which, as we'll demonstrate a little later on, have meaningless directions and buttons that produce random results.
Look, there's just a disco button, okay? Don't worry about it.
I called that the Patrick Swayze.
So, in as much as this was because it killed Patrick Swayze.
As he was installing it, we'll never forget.
God bless him. Come into the Patrick Swayze Memorial Laser Room. So Bond submerges himself in freezing water, but don't worry, he's wearing a leather jacket he takes off, so he's dry now.
What? Next scene.
He does manage to rescue God's curse on us and an innocent family from Mr. Death, and then kills him in the laser room.
Woman. And they kill Lurtz.
Yep.
From Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah.
They chop his hand off with a laser.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh god. Yeah. So that happens. They decide to split up for good reason. And evil horsey ex-villain says, "Did you ever find out who betrayed you? Have you considered it might be the only other named character in the movie? Rosamund Pike." Damn.
Michael Madsen. It's not Michael Madsen.
He won her loyalty by poisoning her rival in the Olympics. What?
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
How did she pass any MI6 tests?
Aren't you world famous? How are you going to be a spy? How many Olympic fencers can you name? All right.
Good point.
But villains like that kind of shit.
They're all about that, especially horsey ex North Korean villains who are named Rick Mao's Naughty's Instant Love Child.
You won't get away with this. I have help. We've literally already recaptured her. Oh, fuck me.
For fuck's sake. Well, time to get on a big plane, I guess. Oh no, wait. Joel Schumacher's here to take us into the third act.
Well, Diamond Face shows up and he's like, "I've missed your sparkling personality," and he gets punched in the gut. Thank you.
Punch me in the dick next.
How's that for a punchline? Oh, you're as bad as each other. That's the real theme of this movie. Isn't there as little worth on your side as mine?
Both civilizations absolutely barren. Not a good, not a single 1-2 set of quips amongst you. Punchline does. That was my main thought in this scene. That doesn't work as a follow-up. Just because you punch him, you can't say punchline when the first thing was sparkling personality. You haven't thought this through at all.
It doesn't match, damn it. So, yeah, somehow, though, Brosnan manages to recover from this, gets out of the room, and sneakily gets into the nearby rocket sled that they left with the keys in it. God damn it. How did we fuck this up so bad? Sir, something's gone wrong. It's okay. I can kill him with my space laser. I really feel like an ounce of prevention is going to be worth a pound of cure with this. Take the keys out the fucking rocket sled.
Fine. See, I simply harness the power of the sun.
God damn it, we could have just shot him. But oh no, he's approaching a cliff. Good thing there's a grappling hook. Why is there a grappling hook? How does he know how to use the grappling hook? What is this?
He just does. Shut up.
So he then pulls a bit of the body of the thing off and the parachute from the back of it and surfs his way to freedom. And oh my God. I could imagine Roger Moore doing this, and there's no greater condemnation of anything than that.
That's the main reason I fear watching the Roger Moores.
Look, 2.5 of them are okay.
That's what Rotten Tomatoes says, and I'm looking forward to those. And yeah, this is a scene, Paul. It's a scene, and whatever people say about it, it's a scene. And I wasn't expecting it. And I remember reading the reviews for this one because it turns out I hadn't seen this one before, and I thought I had.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, and all the CGI is mentioned as a real detriment to the movie. I was like, it's a film in which they're mostly practical effects.
Ooh.
Okay.
And here's why they're mostly practical effects.
Look, we saved all the money for the best bit.
He takes a snowmobile off of a poor local fisherman, killing him in the process, and uses it to get back to the Ice Palace. He uses the thermal imaging in his invisible car to find our unwanted child.
I love James Bond.
And then has a race against a guy whose sports car has a machine gun in it. And they shoot missiles at each other, and somehow that's quite boring.
Yeah, I like going into this podcast, not this episode, this entire 8-year venture.
Yeah.
I might have been surprised at that, but I've learned many things.
Yeah, to be fair, rocket launcher car chase. Yeah, we've seen this before. Oh God, he murders some henchmen with no self-preservation whatsoever because they just stand in front of his car.
Yeah, but you just got to, mate.
And he manages to kill Diamond Face because his car grew back the camouflage.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is that the end?
Yes. I think so, because...
Okay, cool.
He rescues Jesus, why did you do this to our family, and gets her warmed up whilst making some more very Brosnian sounds.
Come on now, don't be dead.
And immediately cut to Korea in a move that really surprised me.
It shouldn't have done, but it does all the same.
Months may have passed, and here we are.
We just don't know.
Michael Madsen observes that he's out of reach now, and Brosnan observes very Irishly that he can, in fact, go after him.
You can't. But I can.
And everyone thinks he's saying he something completely different, so they say, yes, sure, mate. And then next thing they know...
Well, I mean, they try their method. They do launch a giant nuke at the giant space laser, but you'll never guess what they bloody did.
What?
They used a bloody space laser on it.
Fucking... It's foreigners, mate.
I know, it's not cricket. So, Brosnan...
It's literally not cricket.
Brosnan and the child we never hoped to happen to us try to take a shot from behind a fence with absolutely no foliage protecting them from plain view. And when it doesn't work, they run the 10 feet over to the plane and sneak aboard.
All of that is a euphemism for fucking in front of a Buddha statue. The plane takes off.
Yeah.
Rosamund Pike decides it's time to get serious, so she changes into a smart casual crop top and pants combo.
She gets changed into a combat bra. Yeah, the Colonel's father refuses to accept his horsey son, and so he kills him in a very naughty way, with incredibly naughty slow motion.
There's a lot of that going about.
Yep, and the son is using the space laser to clear the minefield. You absolutely must know that that's not the only thing that's kept the North out of the South, right? We have boats. We've always had boats, son.
There are boats. There's even in the North, apparently populated by just a bunch of crazy dogs. Who just love running across a border into a war. There's also the threat of complete nuclear annihilation, which I don't think
space laser's going to do. Oh, we'll swat them away. Will you? This thing seems to move quite slowly.
Just go around. Just go the other side of the laser.
We went around the laser. It's our most brilliant strategy yet. Oh, God.
We got the Gallipoli man alive again.
Brosnan blows a hole in the side of the plane. He's so bad and drunk. Fortunately, let's leave her at a bus stop and see what happens. Takes the first... Sorry.
Maybe someone could love her.
I didn't capitalize it enough. Fortunately, let's leave her at a bus stop at the first opportunity, is able to stabilize it so that she can have a fight with Rosamund Pike.
Oh, good. Okay.
Brosnan, meanwhile, has a really lame fight with a horse. It's okay, though. Sometimes there's slow motion in order to make it even slower. So
you can really see what's going on.
Rosamund Pike dies. A horse succumbs to his greatest hubris. He put a button on his chest that electrocutes him. Why? Why did you put that there?
The irony. Also, I do appreciate Rosamund Pike's, I can see your every move.
Read.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Oh, fuck. Oh.
Stabbed you with a book there as well.
Still.
And I know your disdain for the written word, Rosamund Pike.
Still, looks like we're going down together. Not yet. We might be about to die. Talk to me. I just can't stand the puns. Oh, God, they escape in a fucking helicopter out of the plane. Yeah. Moneypenny gets her first dialogue in the film, and it's a fucking joke. She's a joke character. This whole thing's a joke. No one should care about it. How did she reprogram that thing anyway? Anyway.
I don't know. Maybe it's magic.
Maybe there may be giants. And anyway, the real Bond is off having sex with the child we try to forget. And they have
Who's
sex.
Who's not a child right now, just for legal reasons, we must state.
We must state that Halle Berry has never been a child. They have sex on a mountain of diamonds, just like the civil servants are doing all the time. Vote for change, people, the end. Also, there's a Buddha there, apparently.
I'm still not quite sure how good you are.
so good.
Especially when you're bad.
Oh my god. That was a maddening trip.
It was far from and in the middle of the madding crowd. This film was the madding crowd, I fear.
We should actually talk. What is your variable history with Mr. Bond?
Mr. Bond.
Mr. Bond.
Well, as a chillin', I saw GoldenEye and played GoldenEye, and that was good. And GoldenEye.
I found his weakness.
Hasn't bared up to repeat viewings I found since owning the Bond box set. But I was fucking enamored by that, and then I vaguely remember bits of, it turns out, Tomorrow Never Dies, because mostly, I don't know why, but I remember him biting Terry Hatcher's shoulder.
Ooh.
Clearly I was a fucking nasty dog, 10-year-old. And I was the child that should have been forgotten. And I do remember Robert Carlyle's in the next one. And then I saw the Daniel Craigs, and then went, there's 782 other Bond movies. Let's try and start watching them.
Yeah.
And only very, very recently, at the end of 2024, did I watch The Connerys. And do you know what? Actually, I did see the Timothy Daltons because I remember seeing a clip and thinking, "Oh, he looks intense. I'm gonna watch those."
Ooh.
And I quite like those. I thought they were quite good.
No, they're good stuff.
And I'm looking forward to getting back to those. But yeah, largely until very recently, I knew very little about Bond outside of the Bros and the Craigs.
Yeah.
And as I said, I hadn't seen this one before, so I was wildly unprepared for what happens here.
Yes, my history with Bond is hard to find a beginning of. I think I was just always aware of him. I think he was like referenced enough in like television media when I was a kid, cartoon shows. There was some show called something like Sidekick or something about like a sentient foot or something, and that used to parody a lot of movies, which I think included a James Bond film at some stage. But there were all sorts of things, and toys I think also helped. I really acutely remember having a James Bond spy car toy as a kid. Potentially before I knew anything about Bond. And then I remember GoldenEye. Oh, I love spies. GoldenEye was going to get... GoldenEye was going to get its UK television premiere. And to commemorate this... when I say UK television, it was Sky. So I think it must have been in 1995 or 6.
Okay. So back in the day, didn't Sean Bean just go around handing out VHSs?
God bless him.
Tapes to myself.
Bastards. So... yeah, I was somewhere around 6 years old. Yeah. And the first the TCM Cobra I think era. The Cobra era I was in. And yeah, I TCM showed The Spy Who Loved Me and The Man with the Golden Gun. And these were the first two Bond films I saw. Both Roger Moore films, both kind of perfect for a kid. Lots of gadgets. Yeah. Spy Who Loved Me, this is a prototypical Bond movie in my head. If you want to know the structure of all of these Bond movies, The Spy Who Loved Me is it, refined to a very pure example. Everything's in there. The entire plot structure of a Bond film is in there, and all the bits that you want, including the cool car, the gadgets, it's all there. Sean Connery is briefly in it as the love interest, and I love that for
Roger
him.
Moore's penis.
He's the stunt body double for him, and it's quite something. He insisted. And Roger Moore agreed. He's a gentleman. Yeah, and then I remember seeing GoldenEye, and it really struck me, perhaps just in comparison to the Roger Moore films, as being very mature. It was very gritty. There was a lot of very tough, challenging stuff in there. I mean, Xenia on Your Top does kill men during sex, and it is somewhat grim. Like, Xenia, I can't breathe! And she keeps choking him and screaming yes, getting off on having killed him, which is a lot for a 6-year-old. And...
I think I was saved by not quite understanding what was like the not getting the full implication of sex. Yeah, like, sex, but also no further information.
Maybe this is what happens. Who knows? Yeah, and from there, I think I did become a Bond fan. First Bond movie I saw at the cinema was The World Is Not Enough, which I remember being very exciting. And then, yes, I did see this in cinemas in 2002. It was an Easter bank holiday, I remember, and we all went and saw Die Another Day, me, my sister, and my dad.
Yeah,
and I don't remember my reaction, really. I don't remember if I liked it or not. I think I remember finding it very silly and just having a bit of fun. But, I mean, this is... The thing about the Bond franchise, what you see is, it really does sort of take on the shape of whatever was around at the time. Like, you watch the Sean Connery Bonds, they're very similar to the sort of World War II movies that were about at the time, like The Guns of the Navarone and, Where Eagles Dare, these kind of sneak in, get into the enemy base and have mayhem go on kind of things with big battles at the end.
Yeah.
Heading into the Roger Moore era is really interesting because you've got like The Man with the Golden Gun, which is very heavily Bruceploitation kung fu influenced.
Interesting.
Live and Let Die has big blaxploitation vibes to the sequences shot in Jamaica.
Wow.
And that kind of continues because you get to the 90s. The 80s ones are the most inexplicable to me. License to Kill, set in Colombia, like there's interesting. But then you get to the 90s, and GoldenEye is quintessentially a sort of 90s action movie with the big explosions and all the silliness. Yeah. And you rewatch it as an adult, you realize, oh, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. This whole house is made of paper. Pretty much.
I enjoyed my most recent watch through, but I realized, wow, okay, they were still really camp. All of them have been. They've all been very Roger Moore style silly.
Yeah, like Pierce Brosnan and Roger Moore, I think, are more similar than any of the other Bonds are similar to one another. I remember watching GoldenEye again a couple of months back. In my head, I remembered as a child the end, the sort of third act feeling much larger.
Yeah.
And because, they're fighting on top of this enormous satellite, and it is ostensibly like this huge playing field. And the sense I had watching it again recently was just how very small it felt. and I had this feeling watching whatever this is called, Die Another Day, that go on this similar trajectory of the more ambitious it got as a film, the smaller and like less populated the world felt. I think GoldenEye does it better than Die Another Day for sure. But I think I was so taken with the "For England, James."
No, for me. And I do think that Martin Campbell directed that film a lot better than this film was directed. I think. Yeah, I think he did a much better job. I will say, I think generally, and I would be interested to go back and listen to the music to GoldenEye because I see that it was done by Eric Serra, who did very interesting soundtracks for a lot of Luc Besson films like The Fifth Element, for example, which is a great soundtrack. So I'm curious about that. But generally, I think Brosnan's music, especially this one, I'm not a big fan of. There's something very English television about it, and something that makes it very dated. Like some of the music cues in this are just so sort of eye-rolling, like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I feel embarrassed to be watching this a little bit.
the 90s campy action equivalent of the 90s campy comedy with the little stings to tell you what to laugh at. Pretty much. It's as on the nose.
It really is. And it does heighten the silliness of the whole thing.
It does. That said, I relatively genuinely enjoyed the first half of Die Another Day.
Okay.
I enjoyed it as a sort of, spy cat and mouse. You know who the bad guy is, really, but there's that. He's a sort of excommunicated agent trying to find stuff out, and it's mostly done by being charming. However charming you think Pierce Brosnan Bond actually is. In the film, he's fucking charming, all right? He's meant, in that that's the part of the story. He's charming, it says in the script. And up until pretty much the Ice Palace,
that's where
I was following along and enjoying everything that was going on as much as I needed to. And then then it gets a bit naff, I think, is the best.
Yeah.
The best word. The cheapness really shows the more ambitious it gets, and I think that's probably why it feels smaller to me. Is because when you have the toy car with an umbrella and then Pierce Brosnan green screen, windsurfing, parachuting down an impossibly huge wave.
Yeah, I think that's it for me. Because the film is just a really shallow retread of most of the James Bond tropes. You know, there's no real ingenuity here to make anything better or worse than any previous Bond film. But Bond films in general, in terms of the trajectory of the plot, do tend to get bogged down in the second half, which is why Skyfall is so masterful for just throwing out the second half and being like, hey, let's do something completely different instead. Yeah. And it's like, fuck yeah, this is such a refreshing change of pace. Because the first half's the fun bit. The first part is establish a bad guy, opening action sequence, which isn't bad in this. It's not directed with any great flair, but you know, I mean, compare it to the opening sequence of GoldenEye and even Tomorrow Never Dies, you're looking at a pretty dud kind of opening action scene. What was The World Is Not Enough?
Was that the Millennium Dome?
Yes, that was great. That was really ridiculous. That was the big campy chase up the Thames. That was fabulous.
Yeah.
This movie can't compare with that, unfortunately.
No. I did enjoy the one at the beginning. What I did enjoy about Tomorrow Never Dies, the opening, was just the submarine was a who's who of, people who will become relevant 10 years later.
Is that the next scene? Because the first scene of Tomorrow Never Dies is him hijacking the plane.
True.
Then you have the scene that establishes how bad the villain is, which I think you've already watched the one. Is it Thunderball? What's the one where a ship comes in and completely encapsulates a spaceship? I think that might be Moonraker, actually.
Okay.
You might not be there yet.
I forget. I have seen something like that. No,
I think it
that
is
might be
Thunderball. I think it is, and there's a guy who's outside of his ship connected by the umbilical, and the thing closes and snips the umbilical, and he floats off into space. Yeah,
great.
Yeah, exactly. That's the scene that sets up the bad guy, which I don't think this one has an equivalent to. But then you move on. You have Bond get given his mission. He goes and does his spy stuff, where he blends into an exotic location and flirts with a woman who has something to do with the plot, usually the main bad guy's girlfriend. He gets into trouble. He has a fight with some ruffians. He has a midpoint action sequence where he uses a lot of the gadgets in his vehicle. Weirdly, is quite a specific thing. And then the second half, he bogs down. So he usually gets captured by the bad guys and spends a lot of time in their sort of base as a prisoner, learning what the plan is before he's able to instigate a final conclusive action sequence, which is the bad bit, it's the boring bit.
Yeah, and that's pretty much... That's what I've noticed watching the Connerys in very quick succession, was they all have the incredibly charming bit, the foreign locations, the nice birds, as Sean Connery puts it, and
a couple of bits of actual espionage.
Yeah, and then... moments of him demonstrating that he's an incredibly competent and skilled operative, and then the bit where 100 people are on screen. There are some explosions, sometimes some cool stunts, less so in the Brosnans.
Well, quite, because by then you get to the point where it's like, okay, let's replace having hundreds of extras all reacting to big fiery explosions with CG bullshit.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's a similar thing to your problem with, horror movie endings, where they have only there's a few ways they can go. Yeah. With this, when the rest of the film, or the first half of the film, is cool, calm, collected, competent spy.
Yeah.
It feels really, and it's almost antithetical to that, to then have the big action scene, which is kind of what I love about Casino Royale as well. It's very
very personal.
It's very personal and intimate, and it keeps the tension. It's like the difference in Django Unchained, for a weird reference, between like the tension that builds for 2 hours, and then just the woo woo.
I think that is a good comparison, because looking at Daniel Craig, the 3 films of his that I do feel drop off in their closing acts do have these great big ambitious action sequences, and the 2 that hold my interest right through to the end have much more intimate personal sequences. There's Skyfall and Casino Royale. So exactly. I think it's better to have Skyfall is so perfect in so many ways, but it starts off with this great big action sequence, and then just as the movie goes on, gets smaller and smaller until it's just two people fighting each other in a church, and it's really good.
It's great. It's really great. It makes me appreciate those very much. But the problem is, especially in this period where you have the noughties the high speed zooms and pans for no reason. So
insufferable.
There's no reason whatsoever. The cookie cutter score, the inability to use, it's still pretty poor and disappointing when you watch a movie in 2025 and they use CGI for the majority of the the action. That's still very, very annoying.
It'll be AI soon.
Good, won't be able to tell the difference. Yeah, you will. And but then like back then when you had like tuppence to give some guy with Britannica 95 to attempt to depict your big ambitious sci-fi Bond action scenes, it really looks dreadful. Like I would expect that's Birdemic levels of production quality. Slightly better than that. But Sound of Thunder levels of production quality.
It is rough.
It's really bad.
And I saw people quick to point out in the reviews that Goldfinger has dated effects as well. It has a dated effect where Goldfinger gets sucked out the window of an airplane, and it is not for very long, and it is certainly not the centerpiece of the sequence, because by then you're just really invested in the idea of seeing Goldfinger get sucked out a plane window. The fact that the effect isn't great is just, fine.
Yeah.
You just want to see it happen.
Yeah. And there are, plenty of unfortunate moments like that throughout.
Yeah. Sure.
It's not like a big bit of the third act. It's like watching is it On Her Majesty's On Her Majesty's Secret Service that has the bobsleigh sequence and then the two skiing sequences.
Yes, with a lot of back projection.
Screen and,
yeah.
I just say green screen.
Oh, there's no green screen.
The green screen.
Back in these days, I think you're just projecting it behind them, which is why the frame rates are so fucked up and it looks so obvious.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, like that with those, you want to suspend disbelief because they will intercut with actual stunts because they are still bound by the reality of having to actually execute these things as opposed to the CGI-heavy artists of the future. But look, so the action is ropey, but a more crucial thing and an interesting aspect of the Bond character in general. I was talking to a friend of mine about this, and she was saying it is just difficult for her to watch Bond movies for obvious reasons. And those reasons are present here because, the extent to which you can just sort of laugh off the blatant misogyny of the past is obviously a very personal thing and not something we can litigate against or, describe or, encourage. But, I mean... But my perspective, it is always humorous because I haven't afforded the luxury of having that position, I suppose, of finding it humorous and not relatable or in some way triggering.
Yeah.
But, it is ridiculous how just obscenely sort of misogynist these movies can be. And it's really quite surprising that one made as recently as 2003, which is still, 20 years ago. But...
Lots happened, I guess.
A lot's happened, I suppose. It has happened. But, my God, he's awful.
I know.
He's so awful to watch. Whenever he just approaches a woman, you just think, oh, no.
God. Yeah, watching this with Nell, you could see her sort of physically recoil the closer he got. And I think it was very much the same revulsion as your parents. Seeing your parents being the ones doing this for him. And it led to this discussion where we were just seeing Pierce Brosnan as this Bond for the mums, as well, which is like the way he was painted. Other than the general misogyny, he's like a charming Bond for your mum. It's a really weird mix for Pierce Brosnan.
Well, I think the idea is you're meant to watch it and think, God, imagine having the confidence to go up to women and talk like that, and imagine if they responded this way to you if you talked like that.
To anything
Whereas
I said.
Any modern audience would be watching it and just think they would instead relate to the woman And imagine Bond
Yeah.
approaching them and speaking to them that way. That's certainly what I did every time I watched he did any of this, is I thought about how I would respond if a large, frightening man with a gun came up to me and started saying the things that Brosnan says to women in this. And you just think, oh, I don't feel safe.
Yeah, well, he has a line about, like, I can't remember the specific, but it's about, like, feasting on flesh or something. And that they're getting into this idea of animalistic tendencies, I think, and the way he says it could be from a movie about Ed Gein, or like it's a line from Mindhunter, and it shouldn't veer on that when you're doing your saucy seduction bits.
I think gradually over time they did get around the idea that resistance is sexy, like they got around the idea that consent is something to be overcome. I think in more recent Bond films they have veered away from that, and in No Time to Die I do think that I mean it helps that he's working with a pre-established love interest that he met on fairly bland terms, if I remember Spectre correctly.
Again, rewatching Spectre recently, the I love you feels very unearned.
Well, quite, yeah. That's the problem, though. You end up with these sort of bland romances. I mean, that's what you hope will come of sort of more interesting romance sequences would be good for Bond. But in any case, it's all part of the dumb male fantasy that this represents, which still holds certain aspects of charm, if not any aspect of relatability anymore. I mean, the other aspect of all this is there used to be great travel logs, which they function as now into the past. Like, you watch Dr. No, and it's not so much, hey, look at Jamaica. That would be fun if only you weren't living in a fucking austerity, rationing Britain post-war. Yeah. Oh, no, rationing was over by 1962. The books were written in rationing, but nevertheless, it's still
not
a
long
place.
After, I don't think.
Also,
it lasted for a long time.
It was like 55 or something like that, so it was a long time, and I don't think people are just taking casual holidays to the Caribbean in the 60s.
No, it'd be bus trips to Blackpool.
Well, quite. And these days, though, when, flights to Jamaica are plenty, you can still be like, ooh, Jamaica in the 60s. How interesting and exciting and kind of dangerous and, interesting that is. And the Bond films work as that. In this, I guess, you get Cuba in 2002. It's your big kind of journeying thing. Apart from that, it was mostly shot in Pinewood.
I got that feeling, I must say.
Yeah, it was quite claustrophobic. Yeah.
I feel like the Craig Bonds, when you go abroad, it's now, wow, imagine going abroad and having money.
A government expense account. Well, hey!
Imagine any of that. Your own clothes.
Well, look, we're running out of time, so let's get to quick firing the things we liked about this big dumb movie.
Woo!
Ooh! Quick fire. Good surfing, I thought.
Oh, yeah.
The first time, the very beginning of the movie. There's three real surfers out there, none of whom are Brosnan, and they look good.
Yeah. One of them's supposed to be. I thought the ocean, it was a very moody ocean in moody North Korea, and I really liked the look of it. Made me think of if Heat was James Bond in North Korea.
Yeah, I like the sort of blue steel aesthetic of the whole thing. Like when he's coming up the beach, there's a sort of grisliness to it. And Michael Mann feel to the whole thing, which I enjoyed.
Yeah. Found that. That was mine.
Oh, I thought the Walter P99 still looks really cool. It's an upgrade for Bond. He gets it in Tomorrow Never Dies when he visits Michelle Yeoh's armory. I think he's lost his PPK, so he picks up the P99, and it's still a very interesting and cool looking weapon which is very unique to the Brosnan Bond. I don't think Craig ever used it. He went back to the PPK, so it's fun to have this weapon just for him. Makes him a bit different.
Yeah, that's nice. That's cool. I watched Tomorrow Never Dies immediately after Die Another Day and Diamonds Are Forever yesterday, and it's good to see young Michelle Yeoh. And I'd forgotten how it's good to see Michelle Yeoh anyway. It makes me want to watch her jumping into moving trucks in Police Story.
Yeah.
But that armory scene, Bond suddenly becomes Mr. Magoo.
Oh yeah, he keeps touching shit and it keeps going off. Right,
how do these new fangled things work? But in Chinese. Prince Philip leans over. Not now. You fucking idiot. I like the conceit of the man. I wrote the man when I didn't realise it was the Colonel Villain Horseman.
Oh, yeah.
Working over a punch bag at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then there's a guy in there that he's been beating up. But the find me a new anger therapist line was shit. But the actual reveal was very good.
It's classic Bond's villain stuff, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
You know, and my God, I wish we got to see more of that guy fighting. He seemed a lot more capable than whoever it is they get to play the horsey guy in the future. Like, oh God.
Missed opportunity there.
Very much so. The tech stuff was really naughty. It's like early on, I think he's using his binoculars to like scan stuff, and the noises it's making and the overlaid user interface graphics really took me back to... I didn't have an N64, so I didn't play GoldenEye, but I had a PlayStation, and so I played Tomorrow Never Dies and The World Is Not Enough, and they had stuff like that in there, which I really appreciated.
Cool. Nice. It's very siphon filter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. Sorry, I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, okay.
What I like when I say, you know, I like the first half. I've got here that I like Pierce Brosnan when he's serious, and I think when he's not being his smarmy Bond, he's much easier to, you know, take as a competent spy.
Yeah, there's nothing for him here.
Done up and thin. Yeah.
There's just nothing for him to do. My first good thing of his was "Don't blow it all at once," a pun he says, not knowing that that's going to be the entirety of the rest of his dialogue for the film.
Yeah.
It really is like late stage Roger Moore. You show up, you say puns, you mac on a woman way too young for you, and then your stunt double does all this shit.
Yeah, and that was really, you know, I pay more attention to the stunt man at the end of Face Off a lot more, having seen it 10 times. But this was very obviously, you know, it was very obviously a different guy with very different hair and a different body type.
Yeah.
It's very poor.
Anyway,
that's what I liked.
I like the picture of him in his MI5 profile, MI6 profile. When the guy finds
duck
the
face.
Profile picture, he's doing the duck face, and it does just remind me of the Agent Mulder picture from The Simpsons of him in a swimsuit in the wallet. It's very good.
Yeah, absolutely. He's British. Woof.
That is in my head the Brosnan noise. It's not necessarily a sex noise. It's just a noise that he makes whenever he has to exert effort of just. Or
when he's finished saying a sentence. Yeah, it's a lot. You know, a lot of practical work going on in the first half of the movie, but the hovercraft chase, especially, there's a lot of good stuff there, explosions and the like. It was nice. It was me, poor innocent me, going, "Where's this overuse of CGI? I don't understand."
Oh. I like the conceit of the diamonds embedded in his face. I think it looks quite cool. The scratches going across, where they're like shot into his face, and now he's got these like shiny points. It's a great thing for the dragon to have, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
You know, aside from my joking, it does look cool, and I know, like, I understand why you'd keep him in as a villain.
I'd love it if that was the
evil shit.
I'd love it if that was his explanation. Why don't you have those removed? They look awesome.
Oh yeah, you can just take them out. When he's talking to M about asking, you know, how could they believe that he would give them away? It's like it's building, and it's like, how could you? You know that I wouldn't have given anything away. I never talked. You had your cyanide. Threw it away years ago. What is this about? it's threw it away years ago, but then the very quick transition to the question.
I did enjoy how harsh she was to him. I think that's quite good. Like I've always liked that about the M and the Bond thing, and I like how pragmatic she was there. Like, why didn't you kill yourself? It was your job to kill yourself there. Yeah. Like, just really brutal. I enjoy that.
And you're useless to me now, or you're useless now.
Although again, just with the nature of the thing though, just playing very sort of thick of it style, not thick of it. Like, it's just very British, like TV drama sort of melodrama kind of thing. You should have taken your cyanide tablets. Just, I don't know. just silly. Anyway, amazing shot when the hovercraft is about to go over the cliff. In order to establish that Bond got out in time and grabbed hold of the bell, you just have a shot of him jumping upwards, and it really just looks like Peachy is heading back to his home planet because he just glides out of frame.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was almost quick enough to be subliminal. But I just remember having a very faint in my head before the next thing was on screen. Forgot about that.
Good.
That's good. I do like him then after that, just hanging on to the gong.
Yeah.
And it just swaying back and occasionally into the gong.
Yeah.
Dong.
I enjoyed. So the opening credit sequence is obviously a little tricky to assess critically, what with the sheer horror I was experiencing, but there's the ice and there's the fire sort of motif, and it has a gliding shot of sort of ice dripping and melting, and then cuts to one of the fire ladies having the water drip onto her face, and then steam coming off from where the water was hitting her fiery face. That I thought was quite good. It looked good.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
I was unable to pay attention to that because, as you say, the horror is interesting. I liked how slow his escape was after defibrillating the nurses. He just lackadaisically shuffles to his feet. Well, I'm leaving now.
Oh, Spectre is on ITV. Perfect.
Ooh.
The rooftop in Havana and going to see the sleeper agent there is good. It's old school Bond.
Yeah.
You know, it's everything that I want Bond to be in that moment. Is just going to an exotic location, meeting up with an agent, having a discussion about the plot, finding out about, the asset that you need to. It's good stuff. It brings you back to, the older, slightly slower, more deliberately paced Bonds, which I enjoy.
Yes. Anything plot related that focuses on just charmingly having a conversation generally works for me.
And I was a lot more involved in the plot before Rupert Graves got involved in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, weirdly, it's the scene where he meets Leia Seydoux. So, there you go. It's that underwhelming romance that we were just talking about moments ago.
Woof, woof.
It also means all my favourite parts of the movie are in the past. So,
like my life.
Yay!
I mean, great, mate. Here's my next one. The good thing about the traveling around and speaking to sleeper agents or just foreigners generally was there was a pleasing trend of international people speaking English and giving very wild, shapeless pronunciations of names that made it kind of hard to follow what was going on for a bit.
Love that feeling.
Where is he going? Where does he need to go?
A labyrinth of espionage.
That's why I never work in the intelligence sector. That's the only reason I said no.
I really needed subtitles in there.
Just for Brosnan.
Can you invent that cue?
You fucking racist old prick. GB News fucking holding. Why aren't people finding me funny anymore, cunt?
Ugh, prick. I really enjoy the line, "An ice palace can be a treacherous place." It's ridiculous, but I enjoy the straight. At least it's not a pun. It's it's like a Christopher Nolan style fridge logic. Hang on a minute, that was nonsense. His subconscious has been militarized style. Thing, and I enjoy that.
It made me want to know where an ice palace isn't a treacherous place, and imagine what kind of Bond that would be.
Safe as ice houses, mate.
Oh, okay, that saying now makes sense. I love the chill woman who was in the room of the awful South African. Bond knocks him out with a single punch, and he comes in and starts riffling through his belongings, and turns around and greets the woman who's just on the bed leafing through a magazine, and she greets him with a hola.
Yeah, because it implied that he's done terrible things to her, which are better than the terrible things he's just done to Halle Berry.
Yay.
I like when Diamond Face dies when the chandelier is about to fall on him. He does a very good scream.
Oh, that's good.
It's good. an endearing scream, a scream that makes me think he's probably a really nice guy in real life.
Oh,
that's the only way I get to know people.
at their last moment in their scream. That's a quote from a film. I forget who though.
Joker says something similar.
Yeah, that's true.
About night,
but I think there's
people show you who they really are.
Yeah, I feel like there's another one, but it could just be the Joker, and I'm willing it to be another one.
We will get back to that in the next episode of One Good Thing.
It's our worst episode yet.
Paul remembers a thing. Because
you asked for it. Yeah, Bond just wheeling the awful South African into a wall, as if it were a Michael Shannon escape. And you were pushing a man into a floor.
Love that.
It was really good because it was so dismissive. It was like, well, I'm a spy.
I mean, the sports car lodged into a field, just a rice paddy, is quite a good image at the end of the film. Like,
that made me laugh.
It's fallen out of the sky, and it's just, slid into the ground. It looks like an album cover. I like it quite a bit.
Lovely. Sounds like you're getting close to the end, mate.
I'm very close to the end. I have one left.
Okay, shall I just burn through the rest?
Yeah, you do one more, then I'll do the last one, and then you can unload, because this one doesn't deserve to be last.
Okay, cool. An anticlimactic mumble will then finish us out. So my next one, I liked him turning on the magnet, or turning on the fucking scanner. What's it called? CT scanner?
Sure. Oh yeah.
To magnetize and pull the gun out of Zhao's hand. That was good spy tactics.
Yeah.
You don't see much of that in this film.
Stuff. Yeah. No, yeah. It's good. It's good stuff. It is also a gag that was in Jet Li's The One, which is what I like most about it. And that's my one better thing.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Okay, my last one is that I think being Moneypenny in these movies is kind of a thankless task, because the movies don't feel like they really value the home team,
the relationship they have as well.
Yeah, like they do so much more with that in the Daniel Craig Bonds. And in general, even though they would often only be in the early parts of the movies, I feel like the Connery Moneypenny relationship was always a lot more fun and interesting in a way that you could get on board with and find her an endearing character. In this, there's not much. And if you weren't a Bond fan and familiar with the trope that Moneypenny has a crush on Bond, which is usually quite... I don't know, the sauciness usually implies that actually they've both got more stuff going on, but they flirt at the office.
Yeah.
There's never usually a sadness to it, but there is here.
Yeah.
It's a bit...
yeah.
It's a bit sad. But, nevertheless, that sequence is quite steamy, because Brosnan making out with Samantha Bond is like more erotically engaging than I think him making out with any of the sort of other women that he's had to kiss in this movie. Like, and I think Bond's a big part of that, Samantha Bond. She really goes for it, and that's I enjoy that.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. Good for her.
Good for her.
Didn't mean for that to sound so patronising, but I'm running low on just about anything that keeps me alive. So
low supplies, and I'm done.
The stupid scene with the reporters asking Rick Mel, Naughty's instant love child, dumb exposition questions was stupid, but it was like, hey, Mr. Horse, is it true that you don't sleep? Yes, I never sleep. But the reveal at the end that Bond was there and watching it all was a really good reveal.
Love that.
The back and forth. You handle the weapon well. I keep my tip up. Woof woof, madam.
Yeah.
It's well worth pointing out Horsey Gustav's, Toby Stevens' shit-eating grin and the upper lip of his face.
It is awful.
Which is where the Rick Mail thing comes from for me. He's just constantly doing that, but without the noise. And it was really, really something. And I had to rewind it and show now to make sure that she was watching the screen at every single opportunity, so she didn't miss one. She loved that. But man, Sword fight I really enjoyed. Light on cuts, not cutting on impacts, just fun and a lot of rustle tussle sort of stuff going on. There was a shot after Toby Stevens' horse McHorse gets there in his special ice drag car, and after his announcement, it then cuts to outside, and some roadies are just pushing the ice car away, going oof, oof. This is just a really sort of naff, flabby behind the scenes to this supervillain that I liked. When Pierce Brosnan does one of his classic seductions and he's kissing Rosamund Pike so that the bad guys aren't paying attention to him. It carries on going, and then after a while there's the back and forth. Are we still being watched? Oh, they left ages ago, as he leans in open mouth for another one. Just good delivery.
That's good.
Good delivery.
Good delivery.
Contextually, look over there. When he's talking to Diamond Face and he asks if talking to the Colonel, the supervillain, Horseman, and asks if the whole process was painful. He goes, "You can't imagine." and then Pierce Brosnan's deadpan or sort of smarmy responsive, "Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that." Was very well delivered. Pike's slow turn as it's revealed she's the traitor was wild.
Love
and
that.
then Pierce Brosnan trying to shoot and realizing the gun is empty and making a face. It was just like, fuck, you're so stupid.
Love that.
You always do this, you idiot. Yeah, and that's it.
Love that. Wonderful. Okay, well, let's talk about the one better thing. The one better thing.
Yeah.
The one better thing. Yeah. The one better thing. One thing is, if anybody listening to this is not sold on the Bonds, we do have some listeners I could imagine who have not watched a James Bond film and think it's of no interest to them. Fair enough. Do bear in mind, for a long time, these were the big spectacle British movies. British cinema.
It's all we had.
Has had a troubled history. But, the Bond films was something that used to attract really big international audiences and was something that we used to be quite good at delivering. And, still have done some really recent great ones. And even though the money is pretty much all American now. Eon Productions still, I think, get a credit, but the money comes from United Artists and MGM, both of which I think are owned by fucking Amazon. At least one of them is now. So, all very American money and producers, But it's still a bit of spectacle, and if you think the silliness might be something that you can get on board with, then I think the ones I'd recommend as a sort of getting on point, Goldfinger, You Only Live Twice, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, The Spy Who Loved Me, GoldenEye, I think, and Skyfall. I think are pretty good ones to check out if you'd like to see if this is your thing or not.
Yeah. I would say so. In order to get a lot of the jokes in this episode and also the podcast, you're going to have to go back and watch every single Sean Connery James Bond. I'm sorry, but Sean Connery isn't. Also, I did read that Amazon, now they own MGM, had plans, or they were floating plans to turn this into a franchise, sort of Disney MCU style. And Barbara Broccoli said, "Amazon are fucking idiots, and I will hold Bond hostage for as long as I please."
I mean, that's good. I will say that a lot of these things do have very ridiculous kind of rumors and buzz that go around that ultimately end up not adding up to much. But
True.
No, it is good that Barbara Broccoli is taking some command over the whole thing, because it was a good tenure, I think, Daniel Craig.
I think so.
If I may have another one better thing, I would
may.
say the weakest entry in a action franchise that came out around the same time, 2 years earlier. Look, if you've given up on Mission Impossible 2, if you've written it off in your mind as being the worst one, the one that was a slight mistake and a step in the wrong directions, then, it's still a lot of fun. It's still a lot of fun. Dougray Scott is ridiculous. He's great. Thandie Newton
gagging for
is good. Is gives a very solid performance in her role. And it's very saucy. And yeah, there's Nordorf Hall, Jesus. Anyway. Hans Zimmer's doing his ridiculous best. John Woo is directing the action as well as he ever did.
Yeah.
And I would I'd recommend giving it another go. Because I think comparatively, in terms of really dated, they lent far too hard into being an action movie. This is, Mission Impossible 2 is way better than Die Another Day. Because the action movie prototype it leans into is that of the 90s and not the noughties.
Good. That's good to know, that fact. Yeah, cool. Well, I went to... I was thinking a lot of John Wick 3 because of Halle Berry. And, it's got all the foreign locations. You've got a white man pretending that he's from somewhere else.
I love that.
Not that Die Another Day did that. But a Korean pretended he was from England, and is that not worse? It's not worse. But
could be worse.
Yeah, it's great action. Halle Berry's great, and John Wick looks at a dog.
He looks at a dog, and it's great.
And another dog, and that's the scene.
Wonderful, love that. Okay, well, that's going to do it for the One Better Thing, and that's going to do it for One Good Thing, the podcast you just listened to. Paul, how can people find out more about listening to this podcast, this specific one?
Well, I have never quite figured that out.
We improvise it every time, and so far it's worked out okay.
If you want to listen to it, I suggest just doing the recording of it, saying the words, and then you'll probably remember the episode as it comes out, and then you can listen to it by checking us out at Twitter, at Facebook, where the episodes don't play, but there'll be links to where you can grab the episode, and I'm told that these links will link you like a link in a chain to is it the episode? Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, good.
That's presumably how you got here. Do it again very soon for another episode. I'm going to try and get more regular soon.
Ooh. That's unrelated to recording and editing a podcast.
It's going to help. As soon as I'm regular, it will help.
Bit empty.
I'm Paul Help.
I'm Paul Goodmonday.
And remember, the one good thing about Die Another Day is the first 48 minutes.
Yeah,
or so.
That's one whole thing.
That's more Bond movie than I ever made
or watched.